Now, we can take one of these many classes, many classes, all of them special, all of them unique, but I've personally always found it much more enjoyable to take a custom class. So we're going to do that and be a little more well-rounded. The first thing we have to choose is our specialization. This will actually give us, contrary to what this thing up here says, a +5 to all related skills, and those skills will increase a little more quickly than the others. This part of the creation process honestly doesn't matter that much to me. But since it's necessary, I'm going to go with magic, because it's always been the hardest for me to seriously use in Oblivion. Whenever I make a character in any Elder Scrolls game, I quickly default to a sneak stabby stab playstyle. I plan to generally do the same thing with Rust, but I'm open to using magic later on if I feel like it. By that point, I assume I'll be quite a ways into the game, and my magic skills will be comparatively lower to what I've been using up to that point. Choosing magic as my specialization will help those skills to catch up faster, as well as give me a 5-point head start on those skills. It doesn't matter to me how quickly I reach the next level, and if nothing else, my conjuration skills will be able to keep up with whatever else I'm constantly improving to through frequent use. So magic it is. Next are my character attributes. In my own opinion and gameplay styles, I believe there are 3 important choices we can take here. Strength is important, primarily because it increases your carry weight. Okay, yes, I know it also improves your combat damage, but not to the same degree as your related skills do, and Russ is going to need as much carry weight help as he can get in order to have the equipment to switch out at a moment's notice. The second skill for me is Endurance, which I mentioned before. I talked about it briefly when I mentioned the Armorer skill, but it's important to improve this attribute to maximize your health increase every level, since staying alive is necessary to complete the game. I'm pretty sure that tip doesn't count as metagame. The third skill is very opinionated on my part, and that is Luck. Luck does affect a number of things in the game, but because it's so finicky and hard to tell if it's making a difference, I didn't bother to learn the fine details of Luck to argue that it's an attribute worth considering for one of these choices. That said, you can only increase Luck, as I said earlier, by 1 point every time you level up, since it doesn't govern any of your skills. Choosing Luck as a favored attribute here for a 5-point increase is the equivalent of spending 5 levels worth of upgrades on it, so to me it's absolutely worth it, and the reason I took Thief earlier as well. If you want a better argument than that, I don't have one, and you can make your character however the heck you want without Luck involved. Everyone has their own playstyle, and this is something I always do, so for that reason, Luck will be one of my 2 choices, along with the other being Endurance, since it starts modifying my health increases right away. Strength will be improved naturally and easily with the skills that I'll be choosing next. Okay, here's where the fun begins. This is where I first started assembling Russ's character when I decided what kind of game I wanted to play. You can choose 7 major skills here, and only these ones improved will count toward your level up progress. Whatever you choose will also gain 20 points and level up faster than other skills. We'll be going through these one by one as quickly as I can. Acrobatics helps you jump higher and fall safely from higher distances. I like the skill idea and what you can do with it at higher levels, but it's not very practical for a major skill, so I'm going to pass on this one. Alchemy. I always have fun with alchemy. Usually it's just mixing things up like a madman or making my own witch's brew of pumpkin bread soup to find out where that slaughterfish is that's not letting me sleep because the game thinks I'm still in combat. But most of all, and this is the big deal for Rust that I kind of showed off earlier, I like combining ingredients to make a potion of lighter weight so that I have more inventory room to carry stuff. Because of this, I'm taking alchemy as a major skill. If nothing else, I can at least sell off any potions that I make later on. Alteration. This is a fun magic skill with a couple of combat applications. Alteration is a magic field I see as situational and gimmicky. And because of this, I don't think it'll be something I'll use often enough to qualify as a major skill, so I'm going to toss it into the minor category. I'll probably get alteration skills later on, but for now, it's just going to be nope. Armorer skill, oh boy. I already said I wasn't going to use the Armorer skill, but otherwise, I recommend it for everyone. In addition to repairing your gear, you'll want to get the skill boost from a major skill, because it gets you closer to level 50 when you get the very necessary perk to repair enchanted items. Items in this game can be either found enchanted, you can enchant them on your own, or later on, whenever we get to a certain point where this will make sense, Sigil Stones will give you a free enchantment on any piece of equipment that you have. I highly recommend getting Armorer as a major skill. Athletics determines how quickly you move and swim. You gain skill experience in this theme by running around. I don't think anyone willingly takes the skill when they do a custom class. It doesn't make sense unless you really need to move from point A to point B very, very quickly. Blade and Blunt, I'll come back to those in a moment. But, block. I think a lot of people take this skill because blocking is necessary in the game. But every time I've tried it, I haven't had much success with it as a major skill. I'm content to keep it as a minor skill, and if necessary, I'll get training later. I don't see myself either improving this one as a major skill, so I have to leave this one behind as well. Conjuration. Okay, as I said earlier, Conjuration will be Russ's main magic practice. So, obviously, I have to take this as a major skill. There will inevitably be times when he runs out of usable equipment and needs magical backup. Conjuration will be that backup to summon weapons, armor, and creatures to keep him alive longer. I need this as a major skill, if for no other reason than to start at a higher level in it. Destruction! I've tried Destruction Magic before as a major skill, but for some reason, I can't get it to increase fast enough to justify making it a major skill. Gonna push this one into minor skills. I'm sorry, I like this, it's fun to use in combat, but it's just not going to do it for me. Hand to hand. I know I've been using this skill throughout the dungeon, and my character does look like Chuck Norris, but I don't have any plans to use it again. To be honest, I've never taken this skill seriously, so sorry to any pugilism fans out there. Is it pugilism? I think it's pugilism. I just don't use hand-to-hand. There are also going to be enemies later in the game that have immunity to normal weapons, which is any weapons that are not silver or enchanted, and your fists. You're not going to be able to do something like punch ghosts, for example. I just can't take hand-to-hand seriously. So heavy armor and light armor. Due to Russ's constantly cycling inventory of items, he's going to need equal defense no matter which armor type he's using. He'll probably be gaining skills in these traits equally, and I think he'll need the boost in these skills to survive, so both armor types will be major skills. And here's where we go back up to Blunt and Blade. Oh boy. This is going to be a big change for me. These skills determine how quickly your weapon skills level up. Now, I've never tried this before, but for this playthrough, I'm actually not going to take either of these skills. And hear me out, alright? Just hear me out. As your level increases in this game, the enemies that you fight will get stronger too. And because Russ is already raising both armor skills equally, he won't get a chance to raise them quickly enough to keep up with higher level enemies if both defense types are increasing as quickly as both weapon types. Now obviously, Blade and Blunt skills are important, but I don't want to have these two skill increases have a part in character level ups. So for that reason, neither of these will be major skills. I will focus in using any kind of weapon throughout the game too, otherwise both of these would be major skills. But they just won't start as major skills. Going back down to Illusion, it's a big deal, I know, but it's going to hopefully make this playthrough interesting. So regarding Illusion, aside from the Paralyzed, Chameleon, and Invisibility spells, I don't really see much point in ever being a specialist in this area of magic. I never consider it. Like Alteration from before, it's gimmicky. Marksman. Unlike the melee weapon skills, Marksman is an easy skill to regulate if you don't want to level up too quickly. I do want to have a reliable way to deal damage, and arrows are pretty easy to come by, so Marksman is going to be something I have as a major skill. If I feel like I'm leveling up too fast, I'll just stop using my bow for a while, and I have other combat skills that I can level up in the meantime. Marksman is just going to be a major skill to make up for that. And I like to have a character that uses bows for once in this game. Just like Morrowind was my first time using bow and arrows quite frequently, I've never actually used bow and arrow weapons in Oblivion, so this will, again, be a first. Mercantile is not recommended for anyone, except very particular role players. Russ will be selling a lot of equipment, but having this as a major skill will not do him any good. Mysticism is a fantastic class. Everyone should be picking up the Mysticism spells as soon as possible. However, as good as the spells are, I can't see them being used frequently enough to justify being a major skill. I'll definitely be using this magic, but not enough to specialize in it. Restoration. I almost chose it as a major skill. but it would be the only skill that would be connected to the willpower attribute if I did. To increase willpower in the future, I'm going to take short periods where I regularly increase skills connected to willpower, and for now, I'll keep this as a minor skill. Security. Okay, I know that you can technically pick any lock in the game at level 1, but increasing security means less broken lockpicks, and I remember them being harder to find in this game than any other. I like finding locks to pick, and I can't resist picking them whenever I find them, so this skill will be used often enough to justify being a major skill. Speechcraft. No. Sneak. I can't stop sneaking in Elder Scrolls games like I showed you earlier, and with randomly heavily armor, I'll need all the help I can get, major skill, very easily. And for the character class. As I said earlier, Russ is going to be an indecisive, uncreative scavenger. And here we go. Specializes in magic, endurance, and luck. Wish it could have been strength, but I can't resist bonuses in luck.